So, 4 weeks after the official start of the campaign season, the ruling All Progressives Congress launches its campaign council and its manifesto, a glossy 80-page document. They're calling it an action plan from a progressive party for a better Nigeria, an agenda for renewed hope, which identifies problem areas including security, the economy, electricity, education and healthcare, as well as the nettlesome issue of federalism and decentralization of power, but being rather careful not to call it restructuring. There are also quite a few references to the youths, a recognition perhaps that not only are they the future, they're also the largest voting demographic. Interestingly, in the foreword to that manifesto, the APC presidential candidate, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, suggests that Nigerians do not want what he calls the broken, unimaginative, failed promises repackaged and fed to them again. Well, given that he's campaigning off the back of 7.5 years of an APC government, I wonder who he reckons is responsible for those broken, unimaginative, failed promises.
Despite the unfavorable circumstances of global economic downturns, the coronavirus pandemic that practically grounded the world for over a year and upset many nations' growth, very low international oil prices, resulting in low revenue, and our local challenges of insecurity and inherited systematic corruption, we have managed to make our country stable and lay a solid foundation for progressive growth.
We will be bold to back on the endeavor that will make us more competitive. We are sure that we can make realizable the cross-Saharan pipeline to bring our gas to Europe and compete with Russia, compete better, generate the necessary revenue. I stand before you proudly, noting that those who are afraid of the budget, they were talk of borrowing. It's boring.
Not entirely sure what was going on there, but to flesh out the details of that manifesto, I'm joined now in the studio by the Assistant Director of Media and Publicity of the APC's Presidential Campaign Council, Otumba Abiodun Ajiboye. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you. Thank you.
I expect that you're much clearer on what took place today. We heard a little bit of it, President Buhari there and your presidential candidate, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. What are the high points of that APC manifesto, which has just been released? What are the top lines? Because it's an 80-page document, isn't it?
Correct. Well, the manifesto addresses several issues. The normal plan that any political party, the action plan, so to speak, any political party, any presidential candidate that is forward-looking, anticipating a better society, taking a society from where it is to a greater height, will put together.
Yeah, but what's the really big headline?
That's the point.
Yeah.
The manifesto addresses issues of economy, how we will approach the economy of Nigeria differently from the conventional approaches that several other governments have had. If you look at the antecedent of the presidential candidate in terms of economic management, you recognize that this is somebody who understands the economy and knows what strategies to put together to get a fantastic result out of plans. So what does it say? What does the plan actually say? It looks at agriculture. It looks at how we can use the opportunities we have to convert it to a benefit that can generate employment, raise income, raise revenue, export, and make us competitive, globally competitive in terms of foreign exchange earnings and all of that. Now, you recognize very clearly that before Buhari came to power, our import of rice was absolute. We're almost importing 100% of what we consume in terms of rice and millet and all other grains. Buhari came, revolutionized the agricultural sector. Today, we now grow what we consume to the extent that we even import about 1,000 tons. We export, about 1,000 tons of rice. That is a good step in the right direction. What Bola Tinubu is planning to do in that respect is to build on that success story, particularly in the agricultural revolution, and make it more successful, such that employment is generated. Like I said, the economy gets better. So and so on and so forth. Of course, the manifesto talks about you can't develop as a nation without energy, adequate energy. So the manifesto looks at how to widen our generation, distribution, and transmission. To move from the 4,000 megawatts to some surplus generation, transmission, and distribution that can take care of the need, domestic need, industrial need, etc., etc. These are concerted plans, focus that must be followed religiously for us to move from where we are today to a much better circumstance. That's why the manifesto itself is called Renewed Hope. Do you understand? So that's, and even if we talk about security, the problem of security we have, the manifesto talks about how to use technology to tackle the problem of security. If we have a circumstance, an economic situation that generates employment massively, our young people will be engaged. Once our young people are engaged, judiciously and profitably, there will be no opportunity for them to be recruited to perpetrate crimes. All of these societal vices can be arrested with a good economic plan, which is what we bring to the table. And that is what the manifesto is, principally talking about, and several other, even healthcare. There are so many things that can happen, and the manifesto carefully looks at some of those things, exhaustively, and say, look, the future is bright. We should not lose hope. Nigeria should not lose hope. We still can do better. We will do better with very serious management. Look, the leakage in our economy is enough to kill the economy. We must look for ways of blocking these leakages for us to be able to move forward. So the expectation of this new government is enough to give a lot of excitement. The hope embedded in this expectation is high.
Right. Well, let's sort of take those things, because there's quite a lot. And in fairness to you, I mean, there's a lot to cover there. Let's take one thing. Let's take electricity.
You're right.
What is the plan for electricity? Just break it down for us.
You remember very clearly that when Bola Tinubu was governor of Lagos State, he was very interested in independent power plants, IPP. He actually brought an independent power company called Enron. If, as at 1999, he was thinking in that manner, it shows that this is a man who knows that without electricity there cannot be industrialization. Our manufacturing plants, our manufacturing concerns have gone down because, of course, the electricity we supply is probably not enough for them to actually, for us to industrialize. So what is the plan? The plan is to find a way of increasing, like I said, our electricity supply base. And how would that happen? We will build, see, if you look at what, how far Buhari has come with the Shiroro Dam, there's a lot of plan in the area of energy generation and energy with particularly Siemens. there's a plan with Siemens that is sufficient, that is good enough to ensure that we take our electricity generation from 4,000 to about 13,000 megawatts. So, the plan Al-Shiwaju has is to further consolidate on these plans that are on the way and ensure that they come to fruition within its own period of time. And if we are able to generate, 13,000 megawatts as against the 4,000 we generate now, and we strengthen our distribution and transmission, I am sure it will be enough for us to industrialize. Okay, look at Ajaokuta. If we are able to put Ajaokuta together, for instance, nicely, what that will be is that we can then do a lot of the industrialization quest can be better met, because of course the major thing in industrialization is steel. We need to be able to produce Oshogbo rolling steel. All these industries, all these manufacturing concerns will be revitalized sufficiently to ensure that our industrialization quest gets robust and gets on the way.
Well, if you're looking at something like the steel plant at Ajaokuta, which has been lying fallow for an extremely long time, we haven't actually seen you making a costing, because the key thing that worries many Nigerians right now is cost. Nigeria has borrowed a lot of money. The amount of money it's paying to service its debt has exceeded the amount of revenue it gets. So for you to fund most of these things, are you looking at more borrowing? Are you looking at, because I looked at your manifesto and it doesn't actually tell us how you're going to cost a lot of these things. Well, what it just tells us is that this is what you're planning to do.
The action plan released to the public is not supposed to expose our strategies. It's supposed to give an idea.
Well, you're giving promises.
That's what I'm saying. It's supposed to give an idea of where we're headed, how we want to get there. The details of that is our strategy. Is kept. You see, because no political party, no serious candidate exposes his strategy just like that. So what we are saying here is that we have given a broad outline of what we intend to do. Now, the details of what we intend to do will be in breaking down the policy guidelines with respect to this, which we will go into government with. So, therefore, the broad outline that has been provided should be sufficient for people to know the nitty-gritty of what we intend to achieve, and that is what is very important at this stage. We are making promises. Our rallies and campaigns will soon break out, and we will then begin to pick any of those areas and begin to dole out promises to the Nigerian people based on that. But the strategy to achieve that is not supposed to be exposed, in such, in that circumstance. So the public will need to bear with us. But as time goes by, we will reel out the strategies inherent in these plans, in these policies, that Nigerians will then understand where we're headed. Nigerians should appreciate the directions we have given in that action plan, and should know that the Buhari administration has come with respect to development, particularly infrastructure, agricultural revolution, even building of our democracy. They are fantastic ideas. We need to consolidate on them. We need to find a way to tie the loose ends, particularly the leakage in our economy. That alone is killing our economy. No, we need to shift from a monopolistic economy that we run, which is single production of oil, and diversify sufficiently to be able to achieve in other areas, manufacturing, agriculture, job generation, employment, and all of that. Those are the plans that can ease the economy and ensure that everybody is happy. Even medium term, long term, and short term, these plans will be consolidated.
Right. You said you would what you're trying to do is to see that you make everyone as happy as possible.
That is the objective of any government.
Right. Do you think Nigeria is happy with the record of President Buhari?
Well, I do not see. You see, the problem with understanding Buhari's government is not in Buhari's achievement. Buhari has done very well. But the good things Buhari has done might not have been properly communicated. There's a problem with communication. And in a political environment as this, communicating achievement of government is a complete important part of the government. This is the problem this government has got. Now, it's our plan, it's in our favor and our strategy to ensure that we infuse the burden, the responsibility of properly exposing the good things Buhari had done before we move on to the campaign. So we must be able to create an opportunity to tell Nigerians how well Buhari has done, expose Nigeria. You see, because the diversion, the confusion with respect to Buhari's achievement is twisted mostly by opposition to suit their purpose.
Well, obviously, the opposition is there to hold your feet to the fire.
I agree.
If you're incapable of communicating what you've done, then that's your fault.
We will make it our responsibility. This campaign will make it our responsibility to expose the achievement of Buhari sufficiently to the Nigerian people.
Well, I don't know if you've started doing that, because I haven't seen. I mean, I was looking at the.
That's what I'm saying. It is in our plan.
No, I know, because I was looking at the foreword of that manifesto that you just released today. Mr. Tinubu says that Nigerians do not want, quote, the broken, unimaginative, failed promises repackaged and fed to them again. I mean, it sounds like an admission that the APC government has effectively failed.
He only said he would build on the achievement of Buhari.
Yeah, but who is he referring to? I mean, because we're looking at the last 7 years, 7.5 years. Who's he referring to when he talks about the broken, unimaginative, failed promises repackaged?
From 1960 to now, we've had a lot of governments. So the statement he made was not referring to Buhari. That's if he was referring to Buhari, he will not turn around and say on another breath he will build on Buhari's achievement. A government is a continuum, and it's the same APC government. Yeah, let me now tell you the issue around Buhari's performance is not. Look, take a look at everything the way it is. I just mentioned food production. I just mentioned revolution. I can tell you about infrastructure. How well Buhari had done about infrastructure. The government took on 13,000 kilometer, road network, federal road networks, and the delivery of those federal road networks is 90% as we speak.
Well, people are still asking.
That's the question. Nigerians will continue to ask. We will continue to ask,
people are driving from Abuja to Lokoja to places, and the roads are still terrible. So they're wondering where you're.
No. Let's get ourselves right. To criticize is easy. There's no government that can be criticized. So it is the interest of opposition to criticize at any point in time. Does not mean that that government is not doing well. I've told you the weakness in communicating. We need to repackage our communication strategy with respect to what Buhari has done. But I can tell you, I know about Lagos-Ibadan. And I go that road regularly.
Well, there's just one road.
There's this Kaduna to Kano. There's this second Niger bridge. A lot of those roads are fixed. Does not mean all the roads in Nigeria are fixed. Of course, naturally, I just said out of 33,000 road network in Nigeria, we took on 13,000. And out of that 13,000, we've sufficiently achieved, Buhari's government has achieved 90%. But I'm not actually here to talk about Buhari's government. Right. I'm not the spokesperson of Buhari's government. Buhari's government has got its own spokesperson. I'm here to talk about Ajiboye Ahmed Tinubu and his plans for Nigeria.
But you have to agree that this election will be a referendum on the APC government for the last 8 years.
And that's exactly why I'm proudly telling you.
Well, you're saying that you're not going to talk about it.
No, I didn't say I'm not going to talk about it. I've talked about it sufficiently.
It's a referendum.
But it is not.
It's an APC government.
What I've said to you.
And you want us to keep you in power.
No, what I've said to you is that my responsibility is not to talk about Buhari's government, but there's no way I can talk about Ajiboye, the new government, the new incoming government, without talking about Buhari.
Absolutely.
I equally had admitted to you that Buhari has not failed in any way. I equally had admitted to you that the complication in Buhari's achievement is in communication of his achievement. And I've equally told you explicitly that it is part of our plan in the campaign council to ensure that we take on explicitly the achievement of Buhari, communicate it then properly to the Nigerian people. And see, I have here about an 80-page document on summary of President Buhari's achievement. I can read to you if you like.
You can't read the 80-page document.
No, what that's what I'm saying to you is that Buhari has done quite a lot. This is an 80-page document here with me on his achievement.
Okay,
if you can give me another appointment, I will come. I can assure you.
You're welcome.
Yes, I can
back.
assure you. You will walk out of this studio smiling and looking for how to apologize to Buhari if you ever felt he had failed.
Right. Okay.
So,
well, let's talk about something else. Okay. Let's talk about the floods and the call by one of the candidates, Peter Obi, for all the other candidates to suspend their campaigns and visit the victims of those floods to empathize with them for their suffering. Is the APC candidate, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, or for that matter, the APC president, Buhari, going to visit those victims?
If you understand the emotional antecedents of Bola Tinubu, he visited.
No, I'm asking you about the specific. I'm not talking about.
I need to build.
I'm asking you a straightforward question.
That's right.
There are 1.5 million people displaced. There are 600 dead.
The
UN released a statement today saying 2.5 million people are in need of humanitarian assistance, billions of dollars worth of property destroyed. This is the time when Nigerians need you to show them that you have empathy with them. Is he going to visit?
You're not allowing me to make.
Well, I'm asking you a question.
No.
You didn't answer it.
No questions are answered monosyllabically.
No.
I am going to create a background.
Go ahead and answer.
Exactly. I'm going to create a proper background that will explain to you and the Nigerian people with the emotional antecedent of Ashwaju. He had visited them in Kastina, he donated. He visited them in Kano, in Kaduna, he donated. He actually boycotted his birthday party, his birthday colloquium, just to sympathize with the kidnapping that happened in Kaduna some time back. In fact, March last year or March this year. So what I'm saying to you is that this is a man with an antecedent of empathy, and I can tell you categorically, Bola Tinubu will roll out his plans to commiserate, to empathize with the victims of the flood. But Peter Obi should go and do his own bit. It's not his business to co-opt other presidential candidates to flow in a direction he is thinking. We have our own direction as APC. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the presidential candidate of APC, has done a lot in the past with respect to this kind of empathy. So we don't have a problem. As I speak to you, a sufficient plan is on the way, and very soon you will see what our presidential candidate is going to do in the area of empathizing. Okay. We have a track record in that respect. Kastina, Kaduna, Zamfara, and a couple of places. Right. We have a track record. What is Peter Obi's track record in empathizing, apart from talking and rolling out deceitful statistics?
Okay.
It's not his business. We don't need all of that.
Well, we shall wait to see what your candidate
rolls out. I'll come back here.
You're most welcome to come back.
I'll come back to tell you.
And Otumba Abiodun Ajiboye, who is the Assistant Director of Media and Publicity of the APC's Presidential Campaign Council, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming in.
Thank you very much.